And then they had the big live interview with the Buckaroos and Okody and Jungle Jack, where it was more of the usual, only much more of it. You had Perry mouthing off. The Buckaroos, plugged their tennis shoes. We are expected to believe that they gifted Okody with a Lamborghini that we got to see on the screen revving its motor before it went back to the lot, I'm sure. But here's the thing: when they give Goofball the Lamborghini, the fans chanted, "You deserve it," at the heel. He's in the heel. He's the only one the fans like. The fans still like old Okada. He's the only one they like out of this group, but they like him because I guess of what he used to do, because no fucking human being with vision and cognitive function could be very impressed with what he's done since he's been there. But they like him, so they ought to. Then here's what they ought to be doing: instead of trying to make him some kind of Japanese James Bond looking motherfucker that he ain't ready for, they ought to be taking advantage of him. He ought to be the clean-cut Japanese fucking hero with great attitude that signed with these Americans who misrepresented their self to him because of the language barrier. And now they're making him do fucking dirty stuff. And the people don't want him to do the dirty stuff because they like him. So finally, when once again, as he has the Planet of the Apes moment, and he finally says, "No," boom, and you like the fucking deal, and there you go. But no, they're just making him some fake dipshit like they are. But so the fans are chanting, "You deserve," or "You deserve it," at the heel for getting a Lamborghini. What do they think they ought to give the babyface? A goddamn 737 jumbo jet?
And his acting was really bad, and you're starting to see it now from AEW fans and New Japan fans that Okada has lost his luster here in the States. Didn't take very long. And whether he is the Okada he was 10 years ago or a different wrestler physically now, having someone like that come in with the salary they are making, there had to be a number of ways to use that person better so that they meant something. He doesn't mean that much right now. I mean, I don't know if he would have, but it just seems like another blown opportunity with Okada.
And these guys see themselves. I don't know what Okada's thinking, but Perry and the Buckaroos see themselves as something that nobody else sees them as. They have deluded themselves into believing they're these badass, great talents, whatever the persona. But Tony's doing the same thing. He's pretending in his mind, he's convinced himself that he is what he wants to be, that he is a booker. And he is putting all these great matches together and doing all this stuff. And he doesn't, it doesn't function in his brain that everybody else is looking and laughing. And so then these guys, they made fun of Edge breaking his legs. They get some heat. And stripped him of the TNT title, but gave it to old Perry boy there. But then suddenly, Chris Daniels comes out, and son of a gun, they fired him a few weeks ago, but he's got a new job now. He is the interim EVP that is there to make Tony Khan's announcements. Finally, God damn it. You think he's finally admitted he can't be coming out there and talking on TV anymore like we've been saying for 5 years? Get a fucking wrestler that can do a promo that people might halfway believe in to make your fucking announcements instead of "Thanks, guys." But, at least they're following up. Remember we said when they fired him was the first time that we'd heard that he had the job. And then they fired him from it, but now he's back and he's got a new job. It was given to him by Tony Khan himself. That he should have said, "The guy's sitting 50 feet behind me, right behind the curtain, and could have stopped any of this nonsense at any time. I only have the power he gives me." Right? But anyway, then Christopher Daniels announced a series of qualifying matches on the TV shows, to the winners of which will go into a multiple person ladder match at Forbidden Door to determine who the new TNT champion is. Did I get that out?
I think so. I'm still a little confused on the whole thing.
Well, and I said he needed somebody to make the announcements. Now I'm going to start calling for somebody to write the announcements. But anyway, the EVPs went to try to beat up Daniels, but here came Max Caster and Anthony Bowens and Superstar Billy Gunn. And they came out and they had a big standoff where everybody stared and looked at each other with mean intent. Snot running down their noses and greasy fingers smearing their shabby clothes as they stood there and looked at each other. And that was the end of that.
Yeah, sure was. Again, this is the follow-up to the pay-per-view. You know, Christopher Daniels, the other problem, too, is he looks like a bootleg Adam Pearce. He looks like if Adam Pearce had a little mini Adam Pearce. He's half the size of Adam Pearce, but that's what he looks like.
And Chris is from up in Chicago, too. That's fucking great. Yeah, I wonder if some way or another there could be some type of interspecial relation, whereas they could sit him on his knee like the old Twilight Zone episode of the dummy that eventually took over and the ventriloquist became the dummy and vice versa. Could be some spooky shit.
This Young Buck stuff is not working. I repeat what I said a couple weeks ago. Nick Jackson is a fantastic flunky in a group. And he could bump. Matt Jackson makes you want to turn off the TV. He's pretty unbearable out there. But again, heel stable, beating up the owner of the company and hospitalizing Kenny. And it doesn't matter. They're just another goofy act on this show. They don't do anything serious. If they had been serious for any of this for the last couple months, it'd be a different conversation today. But they hammed it up. They made it bad comedy. They made it bad Young Buck segments. And no one gives a shit. And no one buys Jack Perry. Jack Perry's the size of Adam Cole. Give me a break. May have a better tan, better facial hair, but he's a tiny guy. So you have all these tiny guys and Okada, who's in the ring out of place. It looks like shit. And the fans started chanting CM Punk. They got in there. The fans started chanting CM Punk at him. So that's the last thing you want, because they're supposed to be heels because of all that, but we're not supposed to acknowledge any of that.
You punked out. You punked out.
And now Christopher Daniels, is he going to be in this general manager role? What a temporary EVP, whatever it was.
Maybe next week?
Show wide? Or is it just in the Young Bucks segments?
Well, it depends on
because he's one of their guys. You know, those Southern California guys in the clique, they all like to do stuff together, help each other out, get each other jobs. Is he going to be involved with other people's stuff or just the SoCal guys?
It depends on when Tony has to put his foot down and can't bear to walk out there and do it himself. He's got somebody to do it now.
Hey, real quick, one last question. If Chris Daniels is still one of the people in charge of human relations. Human relations.
Now, are we going back to the mixed tag team I suggested earlier?
I meant humiliations. No, I meant if he's in charge of talent, whatever. What am I thinking of? Not talent exchange. Talent relations. Talent relations. I was going to get there one way or another, ladies and gentlemen. Should he have that job and be an on-air character? Is there an issue there at all, do you think? Not just with him, but with anyone?
No, because again, I go back to when Jim Ross was lead announcer on Raw and at the same time was head of talent relations. Besides the fact that it was two incredibly difficult jobs that one person was doing, so that it was potentially to JR's detriment, but it wasn't a conflict of anything, because if a guy is good at both those things, there's no reason he shouldn't be allowed to do them. In this case, you know, if I don't know whether Daniels is good or not, I haven't heard a rating on him, but if he's They got the talent relations job, but at the same time, he's an experienced wrestler that fan base especially knows, and he can talk better than Tony Khan. Then I think that's fair to give it a try, because this thing needs all the help it can get.
Remember, he was in the room with them when they went into Punk's room and made a move for him.
Well, yeah.
He was there with him.
He knows what the fuck's going on and what's gone on, but he can still talk better than Tony Khan. So,
but that's the problem. Do you really believe this is going to be the end of Tony Khan on this show? He loves the attention. He loves making the announcements. He loves talking to the press or talking at the press. He lives for this.
Well, maybe he'll just stick to driving the guys up and dropping them off at the back. That's the last time we saw him.
See, I could drive.